Thank you. This is a question sent by an audience member which says, do you think that plays written immediately after the revolution succeeded in documenting it, especially when we still say that the revolution is still ongoing? Well, it's a very important question, especially in light of this panel and the two examples of plays that obviously very much reflect revolutionary concerns. Let me just quickly say that it's my opinion that every play reflects its surrounding culture and its time, some very consciously, obviously, and others not so consciously or obviously. But I think it would be really quite impossible for a dramatist who, after all, is involved in the most social of the arts, not to be influenced by and to be interpreted in the light of the society that surrounds them, whether it's revolutionary society or conservative society. In that sense, I think this is always true. The second part of the question about which has to do with something about the possibility or usefulness of writing plays in the midst of a still fluid situation. How can you write, or should you try to write, revolutionary plays when the revolution is ongoing? I think that, to be honest, my answer to that would have to be the revolution is always ongoing. I don't really know that there's a culture in the world where I feel true social equality, certainly not any of the modern industrialized cultures, has been gained. There still are very great gaps between the rich and the poor. Certainly 200 years after the American Revolution, the revolution is ongoing in the United States, absolutely. There are many, many, many revolutionary concerns in the United States that have never been addressed. I think the French, 200 years after their revolution, are further along than the United States is, but they haven't done it yet either. Certainly the Russian Revolution, 100 years old, is still ongoing. It would be nice to look at a situation where once the revolution was over in 10 or 15 or even 100 years, true social equality and justice had been achieved. That, unfortunately, is not the historical record. That, however, should not cause anyone to lose hope. It is just that the struggle is a continual one, and the important thing is not to give up hope, but to recognize what still needs to be done and keep struggling for it. And people in the theater have a particular obligation to articulate that and support that.
My answer is very short to that question. Very, very short. You said, if you please tell us more about the Nigerian playwright and his major works. Now, this will take us quite some time. So we can meet after the session and I can show you all the documents I have on my computer and I can send it to you by email. All right? It's you. What? Oh, it's you. All right. I'm sorry. All right.
Well, I've just received an interesting question, so I have to read it. Ironically enough, President Mubarak was a source of freedom of creativity, allowing amateurs like what we have seen in Amal Sada to practice art. What is your opinion, my opinion, towards President Morsi's recent announcement of depriving amateurs and non-registered actors from performing, especially at the Sawi Cultural Wheel? I think the difference, I'm not sure about freedom of creativity under Mubarak, but I think the difference involved here has to do with the difference between people who had some factions who could play tactfully but still practice the same type of censorship, and to some extent that could be even more dangerous. And those who do not seem to be playing it tactfully at all, and seem to be a little bit crude about it. But since we mentioned Sawi Culture Wheel, I think Sawi Culture Wheel is a veritable example of this type of compassionate conservatism in more ways than one. It's a long talk, and I won't be able to sort of talk about it. I'll be happy to discuss this with the person who asked the question after the presentation. But my answer, of course, is I support evil, of course.
I want to thank Professor Marvin Carlson for reminding us that even the bombarding of the Bastille was not really French Revolution, and I want to thank you and talk more about it, but my main question is for Hazem and this dangerous play and the dangerous directive that you presented to us without really giving us a chance to discuss it. Qahwa, Sada, and this kind of work is very dangerous theater because it uses the Aristotelian model of catharsis. We go, we see something happening, we feel relief, we laugh at them, and it kind of deflates the revolution. And unfortunately, in the last 2 years, we've seen more of Khalid Galal's poisonous work in society, but also of other theater artists who use the model saying, we are defending the revolution, while presenting works like the latest piece by Mohammed Abu Saud, for instance, which claims to be a revolutionary piece about the revolution. Meanwhile, all the images and the symbols and the icons are really deflating the revolution, so they are undermining the revolutionary act. And I would love to hear your feedback on that.
You want?
Yes, done.
Well, I mean, as I said before, I'm not interested in producing any judgments on the artist himself. I just want to talk more about not the intentions of the artist as much as what the work actually says to different types of audiences. So I cannot really have much to say about Galal in person. I mean, I think I do have a personal opinion about his politics and the ways, but I think what I want to say is that what is more interesting for me to talk about is, regardless of what Galal actually claims to be doing or actually trying to do, whether sincerely or not, this is what the work is like. This is what the work is being interpreted by different sections of the audience. And what I really wanted to do is to show why this work allows itself to be understood that way. The intentions of the artist are not that much my own concern in this presentation.
I watched Qahwa Sada after the revolution, not before. And I think a lot of Qahwa Sada is still relevant today. Very much alive today. Which means that very little has changed. You agree?
So no.
Professor Marvin Carlson and my dear colleague Lobna Ismail, and of course Hazem M. I think this is the very first time that you come to Cairo University. And I would like to thank all the audience for their attention and for their useful remarks. And this is lunch break. Thank you.